In this video, we're going to chat about what the difference is between health coaching and nutrition coaching.
So two things come to mind for me right off the bat. And one of them is just the training that you've had prior to taking your program. So for example, and where the focus is. So a lot of people in the health coaching industry are more focused on lifestyle and behavior change, and they use psychology for behavior change. Whereas with nutrition coaches, the majority of the time is spent working on nutrition. So those are, two big differences.
Yeah, I think it's undeniable that the two are very interconnected, but it's hard to often find a program that maybe marries the two together. So it's typical to find a health coaching certification, but then you have no knowledge in nutrition, and then it's easy to find a nutrition program that doesn't necessarily give you the coaching aspect that you really should have when you're working with clients in that capacity.
Absolutely. And a lot of time there's focus with health coaching also on health markers. So understanding like A1C and cholesterol and so on, but they're not really focused on the nutrition that supports that. Whereas, people working in nutrition coaching, they're more, again, focused on nutrition, maybe behavior change around eating and diet, that type of thing. And they may have some knowledge, again, on those health markers, but the majority of programs don't do both.
Right. And so nutrition coaching to me offers more education around, well, obviously the science of nutrition and how the body works with food, supplementation, maybe meal planning, meal preparation, how to read labels. What else am I missing in there?
Nutritional deficiencies, being aware of what specific nutrients are provided in food, and being able to identify whether a person requires certain nutrients over others, or if they're replete, if they're depleted in specific nutrients. So, nutrition science is very specific, and it's quite different from health coaching. But as you said, Lynn, marrying the two together, if you're working with clients, is ideal. Obviously, if you're working for a supplement company, or if you're working in a field where you're just specifically looking at nutrition or food, or from a scientific or molecular level, you don't need the coaching aspect of it. But if you're working one-on-one with other human beings, it's very helpful to have the coaching side.
Absolutely, because if you're working with clients for nutrition, we know as practicing nutritional consultants and coaches, it's never always just about food. There's always something else there, and usually there's lifestyle involved and accountability. And so having that knowledge to understand how to coach them, and as well, work with them around their nutrition concerns or other lifestyle concerns, and that makes sense.
I'll give a quick example because I had a client consult yesterday, actually, that ties in perfectly with this. I was doing the consult. He knew very, very well what to eat and how to eat, how much to eat in order to lose weight, which was his main goal. And he said to me, Lynn, I think the thing that I need the most is you to be sitting in my kitchen and to slap my hand away from the food that I shouldn't be eating. And I said, do you think that you're an emotional eater? And he said yes, and smiled right away. So he knew that, but he needed that accountability, and he needed somebody to coach him more on the behavioral side of things than he did on the nutrition side of things. And so it took me a long time to realize that nutrition coaching, or being a holistic nutritionist, meant that I did have to kind of dive down more of the health coaching role.
Mm-hmm. And the thing with health coaching, the way we look at it as coaches is that our clients already have everything they need to be successful. What we are doing as coaches is actually bringing that out. And so we use our coaching process to do that. And the results are so much more amazing than if you're just doing a nutrition consult, giving them the information and they go away. And, sometimes they don't come back. They've got the information they need, and we're not sure if they're successful or not. Whereas with a coaching program, you know, they're back on a regular basis. We're holding them accountable. We're checking in. We're seeing where they are. We're tweaking their program. We're working so much more with them, and you know, they're getting the benefit.
Yeah, the phrase you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I think I always use that phrase to address what the difference is between nutrition. Like we're providing the water, but in order for that horse to actually like execute the behaviors, to follow through and to continue with those behaviors requires more than just basic nutrition knowledge or even specific nutrition knowledge. So there's a lot more. Emotional eating is a perfect example, right? There is a biochemical and a physiological reason behind most cravings and most emotional eating. So to say, okay, well, you're craving chocolate because you're low in magnesium, or you're craving meat because you're low in iron, that's one thing to figure that out. But then how do we move someone away from that craving? Or when someone has a tough day at work, how does someone unravel, try to figure out why they're eating a box of cookies the minute they walk through the door while they're preparing dinner, or they're going to eat double the amount of calories and a lot of unnecessary food in a very short period of time. So walking them through that process, figuring out how to motivate them, what makes a person tick, understanding why they do the things they do, and then also looking at different belief systems that they have that might be underlying why they make certain choices. Like, oh, I had a tough day at work today, I'm going to reward myself with strawberry shortcake.
Or a glass
that
of
all comes from somewhere, or a glass of wine. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we talk about emotional eating, or cravings, or you were talking about maybe there's a deficiency there, but oftentimes, obviously, there's something behind that behavior, and they started that habit because of something that happened, right? So we're not therapists, we're not psychologists. If you are working with a client and you feel like they need additional support outside the scope of practice, which you have as a health coach or a nutrition coach, you obviously need to refer. But oftentimes we can work with clients and kind of get them to look at, how did this be? When did it start? How, and why they were doing these certain behaviors. And when you get them to acknowledge it and understand where that's coming from, oftentimes then they can start to take steps to make changes that will be those behavioral changes that they'll need to attain their goals. So it's wonderful as a coach when you can help people to acknowledge and understand and then grow. It's so fulfilling. It's really amazing.